Hello everyone. I'm Farzin, and this is my third video about basic authentication authorization in .NET Core. If you remember from last video, we finished our login page, and right now user is able to log in. We persist user identity in the session. So after user being logged in, user is able to access the secret page. But if you remember, I talked about something, some vulnerability that you could have in your login page, but I didn't go in details. So in this video, first I'm going to explain that redirect issue, and after that we continue going more details in about authentication process. So if you remember here, when user finishes the login and we persist user identity in the session, we do the signing process. We are going to redirect user to whatever page that started this redirect to login page. If you remember, I told you we could use redirect action, a redirect method to redirect to that page, but it is not safe. What is the reason? The reason is that whenever you have any return URL and you want to return back to that URL, what happens is, imagine someone outside your website, outside your company, uh, sends this URL to your users, to your employees, and kind of fool them to to go to this link. What happens? This link is going to secret page, and the secret page, because user is not logged in, your employee is not logged in, is going to redirect the user to this to login page. And because it is your local website, your official website, your company's website, user tries to log in. What happens at the end? Because this return URL is something like this. I mean, it is going to return back the user to hacker website, this page. So at the end, user is going to be landed in this same page, and they are going to create something. I mean, this page would be something exactly like your login page, uh, but with this prompt, your username and password was not correct. You need to re-enter your username and password. So as soon as user enters user and password, they can capture this username and password and steal username and password. That's why we need to use uh, local redirect. This is one thing. Another thing is, if you remember, we are using claims to save, information about the user, but we are able to attach another property, authentication property, to claim, to our session, um, so that we can use this session mechanism to leverage, we can leverage session mechanism to use these properties and save this property. One very basic thing that sometimes we can use for these authentication properties is token. Sometimes when user is logged in, we need to save that user's token in our session, so that in the future, if you want to reach another endpoint, we can use that token. We can fetch that token from session, and after that, um, use that token to call another endpoint. This I thought it would be useful if you know about this property. Right now, that user is logged in, and uh, I want to go a little bit more in details and say what is happening when user is logged in, and kind of review the process to make sure that we understand everything. So when we when we try a user tries go to secure page, what happens? User is going to this login page. If I try to um, try to see what's happening as soon as the user logs in. If I try to log in, let me go back to, so as soon as the user logs in, we have this session. This session will be added to our cookies, demo cookie. So what happens here? Here, uh, we add this session to our cookies. We add this cookie to our sessions, and we send redirect 302 to the browser. So browser right now has this session, is going to redirect to this page, to secret page. What happens in the next round? User when comes here, in our middleware, uh, reaches this authentication middleware. In the authentication middleware, what happens inside the authentication middleware is going to uh, check this session. If the session is valid, is available, is going to this authentication middleware is going to map this session to the user. Create user information, attach that to our HTTP context, so that in the next step, in the authorization um, middleware, authorization middleware is able to fetch the user information from HTTP context and decide based on the authorization, mechanism, the user has access to that login and that secret page or not. So that was about authentication pipeline and authentication process. The next thing that I wanted to talk about that is authorization process. So when authentication is finished, user is able to reach uh, to pages that has authorized attributes, or authorize metadata is attached to them. What I did is here I attach require. By calling this method, I make sure that all endpoints in my website they require authorization. But when we do this, for some pages we don't need to. Some pages don't need to authorization. For example, index page. User doesn't need to. I mean, even anonymous users should be able to reach this page, or a login page. I mean, login page should be decorated by anonymous allow anonymous attribute, so that user is able to I mean log in, and after that we pass the authorization process. But how we are going to configure authorization in .NET Core? If you come from .NET Framework, you know that we used to have this concept role. So you could attach roles. If I go here, for example, for secure, you could attach roles to your to your endpoints, but it was not very good. I mean, if you have five endpoints, roles works for your system. But if you have a lot of endpoints, it when you are using roles, it means that you are coupling your system with the roles, with your uh, with your with your role of your authorization system. So it never worked, perfectly. What right now we have we have several different we have new concept in .NET Core, which is policy. If I go to program, you can create policies and attach the policy to your endpoints. So in policy, so what you basically do is you can inside the policy you can define multiple requirements, and based on that requirement you are going to authorize your endpoints. In the future, I will talk more about authorization, different type of authorization, and how we can, have more sophisticated authorization system. But right now, the most simplest one is, for example, if you want to add manage customers policy to your system, uh, you can say, for example, user that is going to access, I mean, to this policy, user should have department claim, and the department claim should be sales, or and status should be senior. I'm telling you, we can create very complicated authorization with this policy, but it is another chapter, and in the future, I'm going to more talk about this kind of authorization. So here I created this manage customer policy, and I created secret 2, and I attached this policy to secret 2 page. So what happens is right now, if you go to secret 2, you see this user does not have access to this page because current user does not have access, does not have required claims. Another important thing that I needed to explain is this. Let me try again. So uh, when you are logged in, I mean, when you're not logged in and you try to reach secure one or secure two, both of them are returned. I return back to login page because at this point, user is not authenticated. But as soon as you log in, you can reach secure page. But when you try to reach secure 2, you are not going back to login page. You are going back to access denied page. So it means that user is authenticated, but user does not have required claims to or required authorization to have access to this page. How we can configure this page? This page is you can. I mean, by default, it's going to go. So we have access denied paths. By default, it is account login, um, but you can configure this page too. It is one thing, and another thing that I wanted that we think. So I talked about policy, access denied. So at this point, I think I talked about very basic authentication authorization flow. There are, I mean, I highly recommend you to go and take a look at use authentication middleware. I mean, the source code, use authorization middleware. They are not very complicated middlewares. You can follow them. And if you go and take a look at them, I mean, it gives you a lot of insight and helps you to understand what is happening when you try to, I mean, when you have these flows, different flows in your authentication authorization flows in your application. Okay, that was for third video. So from next video, I try to go more details in. I mean, some other subjects like external authentication, ASP.NET Core, or integrating authentication authorization with user management in .NET Core. And at the end, we try to create very, I mean, one working in application with complete authentication authorization. Thank you for your time, and uh, I'm here to answer your question. Please put your question in the comments. I'm gonna answer all of them. Thank you.